What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about, some interesting reasons why I think you should get started in a pressure washing business if you're considering starting a business for yourself. And this video is going to be a little bit different, probably different than any of the videos that you've seen on how to start a pressure washing business or maybe even why you should. I want to run you through why I got started and just what this industry has done for me over the past 6 years of me being in it. I think it can help out a lot of people hearing my story and kind of the trials and tribulations that I've been through, and also looking back why it was such a good decision. Me not knowing it at the time, but now, hindsight is 2020, and it was a great decision, probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. So let's jump into it. Most of you guys don't know, unless you've watched my channel for a while, that my story starts me in a van in 2017. My wife had just handed me divorce papers, and it was the toughest part of my life. I was a touring musician, touring with all kinds of heroes in country music, and I was currently out of the house, right? I was living at the 24-hour gym for about 2 to 3 weeks. Not really homeless, just what I would call in transition. And while I was in that van in a cold Nashville November, I had to have a come to Jesus with myself. I had to get real. I had to make a change because I had to have money to uh, fund the attorney bills and pay for my son. And I was not able to see him. And I also had to get a place to rent because, again, I was living in a van at that point. So, I had to turn this sob story into a lesson and make it work for me. And there's one thing I've always believed is that in times of adversity, you either spiral upward or you spiral downward. And I just was not going to let this thing break me. I grit my teeth, saddled up, said, all right, time to go to Home Depot.
Come on, let's go.
And I went to Home Depot and got some tools. But before we jump into why you should start a pressure washing business, over the years, we had learned a ton of techniques on how to be the most efficient on site. And if you're looking to start your pressure washing business off on the right foot, the last 6 years has taught me a lot and basically made us experts in the industry. Me, Cody Yarbrough, Mike Vadan, and Justin Rogers built the How to Wash course for you guys who are looking to start your pressure washing business off on the right foot and want to compress the time frames and the learning curve to where you're not having to kind of bump into all the walls and hit your pinky toe on all the coffee tables of this world, if you understand what I mean. And you'll be able to compress those time frames and be able to get out there and make money really quickly. So we go over chemical knowledge, property protection, what pressures to use on what substrates, equipment, everything surrounding building expertise on how to wash. And what is crazy is that you can actually destroy a lot of things. People think pressure washing is easy, and while pressure washing itself might sound easy, there is not a one of us, even the experts, who have not absolutely scorched something on a customer's property at some point in time and had to pay for it. So get the How to Wash course, implement the knowledge. It's over 6 hours worth of content, super compressed. I think you're going to learn a lot. It'll be the first link in the description, first link in the comments. Go ahead and grab it. So for the first reason, I recommend, anybody to start a pressure washing business who wants to enjoy profits and be able to level up their life, whether it's just own the business and allow someone to run it for you, or to do it yourself and be lean and mean and maybe hire an employee or two, is because of the low barrier to entry. You can actually get started with a small washer and make money, which is very unique. It's almost the equivalent. If there was an equivalent, I would say it's like getting a push mower and being able to go conquer, $1,000 mowing jobs that day. That's unheard of for a push mower, if you will, but it's not unheard of for pressure washing. So you won't do any super large projects with a small setup, but you can get $1,000 a day if you're at a dead sprint in your marketing. And if you learn the marketing side of the business that we teach, you need expert knowledge on chemicals, that's for sure. You need to know about property protection. When you get into the deeper areas of roof cleaning and stain identification, which most guys get that terribly wrong. They don't, most guys are just really cheap when they get started and they want to cheap out on every single thing, and that costs them. They start destroying stuff and having to pay for it, whether it's through their own pocket or insurance or lawsuits. because of the low barrier to entry, right? Anybody off the street can get started in this business and go clean something. The problem is a lot of times they don't have the knowledge to actually clean it without destroying it. They're used to seeing their dad or their uncle or their cousin clean their grandma's deck with high pressure and basically tear it to shreds. But grandma just loved you, so she really didn't care. But the low barrier to entry is huge because what that means is the guy can be lean and mean. He can invest into some equipment, into some marketing, get him a website done, and he can start driving leads, whether it's in his part-time and he's working another 9 to 5 or it's full-time. And that's what's really cool also about pressure washing is that you can work a 9 to 5 job and only do this on the weekends and bring home 6 figures a year in the business. Maybe not take home, right? But you can bring home a total revenue of about 6 figures a year just doing this on the weekend. So low barrier to entry is huge. I think that is something that's very unique because there's actual real money here and there's profits way above what it costs you to get started. When guys start talking about how, skids and equipment is expensive in this world, I just tell them to, shut their mouth because you're not going to be able to afford a bulldozer, a dump truck, and a trailer to pull the dang bulldozer and do the first bulldozing job for anywhere remotely close on the ROI that you would get even on a $30,000 skid. So the ROI and how quickly you can get runway on this low barrier to entry business is truly unheard of. The second reason that I recommend you guys start a pressure washing business, if you're thinking about it, is you can leverage the high margins that this business has. The margins in pressure washing are actually astounding when you look at other service businesses because it allows you to get runway on your jobs so you can have enough to make a good living with not a lot of leads or work out of the gate. 50% to 50 to 60% margins are pretty normal in pressure washing, where the industry average for lawn care is like 20 to 30%. And so the equipment setup is comparable to lawn care, right? If you really want to do it right and have a full trailer of lawn care and a full pressure washing rig, they're about very similar. But many lawn care guys talk about having recurring income with their business with mowing lawns, and that keeps them happy. And the truth is, we make so much on one job, we don't really care about that. And our work is recurring because we just clean them twice a year or we clean that same customer the next year. So this isn't a video about lawn care versus pressure washing, and I'll probably make that video later, but you can leverage the high margins into investing into other businesses and into real estate and to other income producing assets for yourself. I don't really know of another business model in the service industry where you can be lean and mean like this and take home this type of income. So with that being said, the low barrier to entry is a reason to get started from white collar guys to blue collar guys. If you're doing it on the weekend, lean and mean, or if you want to take this to a full-time business, all of that is there with relatively low expenditure and relativity to other businesses you would get started in. Also, the margins are super high, and I don't really know of another income producing activity that is service based that a blue collar guy can do and take home this level of money. But there are some cons. For some people, it's seasonal, right? If you're in North Dakota, you may have a long winter and water freezes. So that's going to be an issue for some of you guys way up north, but it doesn't mean that you can't have a huge season doing commercial, residential, lots of concrete to be cleaned, lots of stadiums to be cleaned, parking garages, buildings, commercial properties, stucco, residential, parking lots, striping. There's all kinds of things that kind of tie into pressure washing as it is seasonal for some people, but it bleeds into other industries that complement it very well. It's also not as easy as some people think because you can actually destroy vegetation, etch concrete, remove paint, destroy wood. Like I said, I know it looked easy when your dad was wanding the entire driveway at your grandma's house, but to clean a property doesn't take like a ton of quote unquote skill. The main superpower that a lot of these guys have is finesse. They have finesse. It's not necessarily using high pressure on everything. It's knowing what pressures to use. We do cover this stuff in the How to Wash course because, like I said, you will probably destroy something if you don't have that knowledge first. Everyone seems to, when they get started. They think that this is just a plug and play type of business, and it's really more about finesse with your chemicals, knowing what ratios to put where, and also what pressures to put where, because sometimes that can be catastrophic when it comes to vegetation, when it comes to brand new concrete, wood, even when it comes to window seals, door seals, brand new wooden doors. Man, I've seen some guys turn entire wooden doors into a paper mache doll because they've applied the wrong chemicals to the door. So that can be a con and maybe turn some guys off because it is volatile in that way. You do actually have to have skill when it pertains to messing with caustic chemicals, and we use a lot of toxic and caustic chemicals. And when you destroy something, you will need to pay for it. But for all other liabilities, I do recommend having my customer contract in place. I'll put a link to it in the description below. It's watertight. There are things covered in this contract that you would never even think about. It is literally a tiger tank of a contract. It protects you and protect the customer, but there are things that customers will do that we learned, my brother and I, in our first 4 years in business, that every time we'd walk into a property and we'd say, no, that's unacceptable, or we need to cover ourselves from this, we put it in this contract. We had our attorney write it up. Cost us about $1,000, and it's nowhere near that for you guys. So I recommend getting that, especially if you're just getting started. It'll definitely give you a lay of the land on what you're going to need to look out for, from artillery fungus to dog poop left in the yard, which you'd be surprised, all the way down to patio furniture. What do you do about that when they leave that stuff all out and expect you to clean it? So we cover everything in there. Go ahead and grab it. I'll put that in the link in the description as well. You know, I can't tell you the jobs that I've simply walked away from. I told the customer to call somebody else simply because the liability was too high, either for me or for them or for both. I learned that making the money was not worth me risking my life on a roof somewhere, on a weird pitch or a weird elevation, on a ladder or on a slick roof. Risking my life was not worth that. I have a son that I want to come home to and that I want to play with, and I have a family that I want to rebuild. And I made sure that I used my brain, and I never fell off a ladder. I never came close to that just because I would not push it that far. I would absolutely walk away from the money. So I hope this video is kind of giving you a reason to maybe start your pressure washing business. Also give you some of the cons of the business. I don't really think they're cons, but just an honest approach. I think that this is one of the best opportunities in the 2020s for sure. This business is poised to grow every single year in the stats currently. We're at like the $3 billion industry, which is very small compared to lawn care, HVAC, any of these other service businesses. But what's great is pressure washing and the innovations from companies like Skunk Washworks, who are absolutely producing specific purpose-built soft washing equipment, which has never been actually created ever. These are innovations that are coming out now that the world has never seen. Certain pumps that are actually made for this. What's wild is we've always used like RV pumps and gas pumps that they were built for spraying pesticides, and they were built for just pumping regular water at a moderate GPM. But some of the new innovations that Skunk Washworks is coming out with are actually built for this, from the Batch Buster to the super pumps. Pretty amazing, pretty cool. And you can check them out too at I think Southeast Soft Wash has some of their stuff up there. So go check it out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you did, and if this was a little bit different angle. You know, at the end of the day, my goal was to get out of a tough time in my life. And once I was able to do that and start making, you know, 20, 30,000 a month in this business, I started figuring out that, man, this business can actually create some not necessarily passive wealth for me, but it can allow me to invest in things that will create passive wealth in my life. And that, to me, is remarkable, and that alone is worth you getting started right now. I hope to see you guys out there spraying some and I will see you guys in the next video.